Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of Tomb of the Cybermen, the special edition, which I have right here. I was sent this recently by one of my subscribers, Ian Butler, which I really appreciate Ian sending it to me, the special edition here. Now, I had the original version, which I'd had for years, but this version was released before they had really started running the classic Doctor Who's through the vidfire process for the 60s. So the film looked rougher, had a more film quality to it, didn't look the way it originally should, whereas this one has been ran through the vidfire process, which restores it to looking closer to its original broadcast look. And it does look a lot better, at least in my mind. I haven't watched the original version in a while. This does look a lot better, though, to me, watching episode 1. I really enjoyed it. First off, Troughton is amazing. We have to get that out of the way immediately. Troughton is amazing. He's always amazing, but he's definitely amazing here. I love watching the second Doctor. Patrick Troughton is just so good in this role. He has those little things he does that just turns everything up to 11 and makes it so much more fun, so much more interesting. I don't feel like with some other Doctors like 6 and 13, a lot of times I feel like I'm watching an actor playing a character. When I'm watching 2 and 4, I feel like I'm just watching the Doctor. It's not an actor playing a role, it's just that character. This is the Doctor. I'm watching the Doctor. It's like Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, just showed up in his TARDIS and said, "Oh, you're doing a TV show about me? Well, I can play the part myself. Just call me Patrick Troughton. We'll go with that. Yes, your TARDIS set doesn't look as good as my actual TARDIS, but it'll do, yes." And I love it. It's those little things he does. Like, I love when the one guy asks him, "Oh, are you an archaeologist?" And Troughton's just like, "Does it show?" The way he does that, because he's taking pride in the fact that of his many professions, he also considers himself a bit of an archaeologist. And the way Troughton does that, does it show? I love that, the kind of pride he takes in that and joy he takes in that. It's so much that Troughton puts into that, and I just love his style of acting and how he does that. I like that bit right afterwards when he reaches out and means to grab Victoria's hand, but he grabs Jamie's, and as soon as he realizes, he's just like... Apparently that was an accidental thing that happened, but the scene was so good they kept it in. And then he talks to Victoria, and he's like, "Well, don't you feel like coming in, Victoria?" And she's like, "I don't know. Don't you think this dress is a little short?" Which I guess by Victorian standards it would be a little short, but it covers her knees. It's one of those things, seeing it in 2022, you're like, how quaint. And I like how the Doctor's like, "Well, that's all right. So is Jamie's." And Jamie's like, "Hey, I like the fact Jamie catches on that the Doctor's just trying to get Victoria comfortable so she'll come inside, kind of keep her at ease. Jamie's not the brightest fellow at times, so I like when he catches on to the subtlety there. Oh, yes. I love that. I like when the Doctor is talking to the one kind of German guy, and it's like, "Well, I have my own little process I use." "Oh, what's that?" "I keep my eyes open and my mouth shut." I love the little dig in there. I absolutely love that. And then I like later when Victoria gets trapped in the thing by the other woman, because the other woman in this is... you can tell early on she's not a very good person. I like how the Doctor immediately knows she was behind it, because when he gets Victoria out and he's like, "I guess you'll just have to be more careful what you're doing, won't you?" And he turns around and looks dead at the other woman when he says it, like, "Victoria's here, she's here. I guess you'll just have to be more careful now, won't you?" And he looks dead at her. I love that. And then there's that time when Troughton, when the one kind of, I'm guessing he's German from his voice, or he's trying to sound German, the one that's kind of full of himself, is trying to figure out the code sequence. And he's like, "But it's so hard, I can't do it." And the Doctor figures it out, and he's like, "Oh, this is a binumeral," and he goes, "And that's how you do it, but I really wouldn't advise doing it if I was you." And the guy's like, "Oh, this is great." And, "No, I wouldn't advise doing it if I was you." And I'm like, this really is kind of more of that. Sometimes the Doctor's his own worst enemy. Sometimes he creates his own problems. Like, you kind of wonder if he hadn't figured out how to open the door for them, what if he had just left? Because they couldn't get in the door. Now, he probably figures that they'll eventually find a way in regardless, and it's probably better he's there to help control the situation. He can't just see them giving up and leaving. But you have to wonder if everything wouldn't have gone quite so pear-shaped if maybe the doctor hadn't showed him how to get in the door. And you have that same problem here of maybe they never would have figured out how to actually run everything if the doctor hadn't told him, how to start running everything. So the doctor, and it's partially the doctor's fault. He likes that kind of, oh, you can't figure that out? Of course I can figure that out. See, that's how you do it. I just think he can't help himself. The second Doctor, too, has a huge curiosity thing, a whole galaxy and universe to explore. If there's one thing the Doctor has, it's definitely curiosity, especially the second Doctor. He loves seeing everything. That's why he's out there. He wants to see the universe and explore and travel and see stuff. Huge curiosity. So there are a couple times here where everything that happens could kind of be his own fault. I enjoy the other stuff going on in the story, like with Jamie, like when the guy's explaining about how the luminescent light works. There's no windows. Oh, it works by this and cosmic rays, and Jamie's like, oh, yeah, that, yeah. Even though he has no idea what the guy's talking about. But I just like how Jamie's, oh, yeah, that, yeah. And then when the guy's explaining to him about the hypnotic beam, Jamie's like, oh, yeah, what? I like how, what? I'm enjoying Frasier in this one, too. The cliffhanger was pretty decent. I like the smoke effect of the guy getting killed. Like when he gets shot and the smoke rises off. Pretty neat effect for like 1967 classic Who. When you see the smoke chill off of him. I enjoyed that. That was a pretty neat little effect. Personally, they shouldn't have been messing with it to begin with. Hey, there's this thing that hypnotizes us if we look at it. Turn it back on so I can look at it. But I'll do this, so I'll only kind of look at it. So the whole point of turning it on is we have to look at it so we can tell what's going up. But we can't look at it. We just have to kind of look at it. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Kind of a head scratcher. The guest cast are doing fine. I haven't had any real issues with them yet. I'm not saying, they're anything stellar, but they're fine. We get that German dude and German woman, if that's what they are, I'm just guessing, I don't know, are kind of not great people. And then they got the other guy that's with them, the kind of strongman black guy, I forget his name. But he seems kind of benign at this point. You kind of get that he'll do whatever he's told to do, but you don't really know his motivations yet. He actually turns out to be a really cool character who saves the day at the end. But you don't quite know his motivations and whether he's good or bad yet. He doesn't talk much, but that's, some people have issues with that, but, because of race issues. But the reason why he doesn't talk much is more because he's the muscular type. The muscular type in a lot of old shows was like that. I mean, look at Lou Ferrigno in The Incredible Hulk. 5 seasons. How often did he talk? Or Arnold Schwarzenegger in his early movies. A lot of the strong men, because they're meant to be the muscle, they didn't talk much a lot in these older shows, regardless of race. The strong muscular guy was quiet in a lot of stuff. That's just how it was then. But I still think he's got a pretty good character. We do get introduced to him here. And I love that little moment Troughton has, another great Troughton moment, when Troughton's like trying to get him to open the door. It's like, oh, surely he can do it. Unless, of course, he's afraid. And no, he's not afraid. He's not afraid. When the guy starts walking forward and Troughton's like, oh, no, he's not afraid. He's not afraid. I love the way Troughton does that. He's not afraid. Once again, Troughton just those little touches. It's those little flourishes that kind of, that are the difference between a great painting and a masterpiece painting. Those little details, and Troughton just excels at those. The set design looks pretty good for what it is. Like, 60s Doctor Who. It's fine. It hasn't gotten to some of the more iconic shots yet in part 1, but what we've seen so far is fine. Nothing stellar, but fine. And like I said, the guest cast have been fine. Nobody's really blowing me out of the water yet, but fine. It's mostly Jamie and the second Doctor that are really selling me on it right now. Plus, I'm just enjoying the story itself. It does have a slow burn going. I mean, it's a Cyberman story. Something's going to go wrong at some point, but it hasn't gotten to that yet. It's more just that Oh, you know something bad's going to happen. That kind of slow dread building of everything's going to go sideways at some point. I mean, you never walk into a movie theater in a situation like this and it turns out everything's fine. You'd leave going, oh, that was a bit boring. Different, original, but boring. So you know something's going to go crazy at some point, but it hasn't yet. So this first episode really is just kind of setting the tone, which I like, and kind of building up the suspense a little, which I like. And again, the footage looks much better now that it's been run through the vidfire process. The only issue I had is there's one shot early on, which is some location filming, where there's a bit of blurring right when they first catch the second Doctor. That shot when you see the other team running to the heels, and then when you kind of see the second Doctor turning around and doing that, there's a little bit of blurring right there. Other than that, look phenomenally good. So Tomb of the Cybermen, episode 1. I did enjoy it. Looks special edition. Definitely improves the quality of the footage, and Troughton is being amazing, as Troughton tends to do. So, I would like to know what you think of episode 1 of Tomb of the Cybermen, so comment down below and let me know. Other things to do while I have you here. Go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, helps me grow the channel. I am currently trying to hit 800 subscribers. So if you watch regularly and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button for me. It's free. Can't beat free. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below. I have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me. This DVD, the special edition here, again, was a gift from one of my subscribers, Ian Butler. I really appreciate him sending me this. So that is down in the description below, as is a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly. I want to give a shout out to two of my top tier patrons, the fifth Doctor and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their continued support, and most importantly, thank you for watching.